You stress about dating apps, ghosting, high wedding costs, endless scrolling through profiles, and finding the one way more than ancient humans ever did across thousands of years of history. Here's proof from real history and bones that will surprise you. For context, you probably swipe through 200 profiles a month just hoping for one decent conversation that might lead somewhere meaningful in your life. Ancient hunter-gatherers? Their parents arranged 85% of marriages with zero apps required and far higher success in forming stable bonds that lasted lifetimes. That single stat changes everything you thought about love, commitment, and modern relationships in our digital age full of choices. But how do we even know this for sure? Fair question that many viewers ask right away. Modern romance feels so brand new, complicated, and completely unique to our fast-paced time, right? The answer comes from ancient clay tablets carefully preserved in museums around the world, ancient DNA painstakingly extracted from buried bones at archaeological sites, and sophisticated phylogenetic models built from extensive data on living hunter-gatherer groups across different continents. These aren't wild guesses, legends, or romantic myths passed down orally. They're hard archaeological, genetic, and anthropological records spanning many thousands of years, and what they reveal will completely flip your view of marriage, human bonding, and long-term relationships upside down in surprising ways you didn't expect. Let's start with evidence from 4,500 years ago in the Near East region. Around 2500 BCE, several surviving tablets already treat marriage as a formal institution with real legal weight, social importance, and binding obligations between families. Fast forward to roughly 2350 BCE in Sumer, Mesopotamia. That's where we find the earliest known written marriage contract on clay, now held in British Museum archives for scholars to study in detail. Group A, these early Sumerians, had detailed binding contracts that spelled out rights, duties, penalties, and expectations in clear terms for both sides involved. Group B, you living in 2026 Riaz, often treat breakups like casual app uninstalls with almost no real consequences or long-term planning involved. The contrast hits hard when you stop and think about daily life and pressures people face today. Then comes the detailed 2000 BCE Assyrian tablet from Kultepe-Kanesh in modern-day Turkey. Lakipum and Hatala signed a baked clay agreement that still survives today after all this time. Break the marriage? Pay 5 minas of silver as a significant penalty. No child after 2 years? The wife could provide a surrogate to keep the family line going strong into the future. These weren't vague promises whispered in private moments. They were enforceable legal deals with financial teeth, family planning clauses, and public accountability built right in from the beginning. Imagine standing in a dusty ancient marketplace, signing that important contract on wet clay while neighbors watched closely and witnesses pressed their personal seals into the tablet for validity. No lawyers in suits, no viral Instagram announcements or filters, just raw commitment etched forever into clay that lasted for millennia, despite wars and time. But that's not even the strangest part of this entire story we are exploring. Jump ahead to the genetic evidence from 5th century CE Korea during the powerful Silla Kingdom period. At the Imdang and Joyong burial sites, scientists from Seoul National University and the Max Planck Institute analyzed DNA from 78 human remains in detail. They identified 11 first-degree relative pairs and 23 second-degree pairs among them. 5 individuals showed clear genetic signals that their parents were close relatives. This proves systematic endogamous marriage practices, people deliberately marrying within tight communities, regardless of social status or class lines at the time. Picture the quiet, solemn scene in those ancient burial chambers deep underground, families carefully placing parents and daughters together in the same graves with respect and care. 3 confirmed cases of these family interments, the first genetically verified examples in ancient Korea according to the study published. The air would have carried the heavy weight of generations, damp soil, burning incense smoke, whispered prayers, and the deep cultural knowledge that bloodlines and marriages stayed intentionally close for survival, alliance building, and long-term community strength over centuries. These Korean findings show marriage wasn't just dry contracts written on tablets. It actively shaped entire societies through deliberate kinship patterns that influenced who lived together, who married whom, and how communities endured challenges over many centuries. Hunter-gatherers took these same basic practices even further back in human history with their own systems and traditions. Here's the twist that recontextualizes everything said so far in new light. Phylogenetic reconstructions using mitochondrial DNA from contemporary hunter-gatherers push regulated marriage practices all the way to 10,000, 15,000 years ago in the late Pleistocene and early Holocene periods. The models suggest arranged marriages likely existed among proto-non-African humans, possibly reaching back to the first major migrations out of Africa, around 50,000 years ago. A major comparative study of 190 hunter-gatherer societies, marriage was arranged by parents or close kin in 85% of cases. 80% involved some form of bride service or bride price exchange, and 87% showed low polygyny, meaning most men had only one wife at a time. This wasn't occasional or rare in those groups. It was the default operating system for human pair bonding across continents and tens of thousands of years of evolution and adaptation. The real twist? What we call traditional marriage isn't some recent cultural invention from civilized empires or later religions. It's older than farming, older than the first cities, older than most organized religions we know today. Ancient humans didn't create marriage just to control property or women in fancy societies. They built these systems for raw survival when life expectancy was low, resources were scarce, and every alliance could mean the difference between a group starving or thriving through harsh winters and dangerous migrations across lands. So what does this deep history mean for you today in your daily life and struggles with romance? You face constant dating fatigue, skyrocketing wedding expenses, and endless digital options that paradoxically make forming real commitment feel harder than ever before in human experience. Ancient humans faced saber-toothed predators, unpredictable food supplies, and literally zero modern safety nets. Yet they locked in marriages with detailed contracts, strict kinship rules, and parental oversight that often lasted lifetimes despite all difficulties. Your stress about finding the one through algorithms and endless profiles. Ancient Lakipum and Hatala didn't swipe right endlessly. They negotiated clear terms that protected both parties and planned ahead for children and stability in uncertain times. The Korean DNA evidence shows entire communities reinforce those bonds across many generations through intentional choices and traditions passed down. This history doesn't mean you should rush into arranged marriages or copy clay tablet contracts exactly in modern life. It means the deep human need for stable pair bonds, family structures, and reliable commitments runs much deeper than any dating app or current cultural trend could ever change. When modern romance chaos overwhelms you on tough days, remember, your ancestors solved the same core problems with far fewer tools and far higher stakes, and they succeeded well enough for every one of us to be here today reading this script. Use that ancient blueprint as a practical mirror for 2026. Prioritize clear expectations early on, involve trusted family where it makes sense, and focus on realistic commitments instead of endless searching for perfection that may not exist. The institution that survived ice ages, migrations, and the birth of civilization can probably help you navigate today's dating world more wisely than you think possible right now. Would you have survived signing an ancient marriage contract, or do you prefer today's dating apps and freedom? Drop your honest answer in the comments right now and join the discussion. If this video flipped how you see human history and relationships, smash that subscribe button and turn on notifications. We've got more buried truths coming soon in future videos. See you in the next one.